Welcome to In the Zone. I'm your host, Chris Broussard, and I'm honored today to have my man Kenny Rhoda with me, WHBC Radio in Canton, afternoon show host of the Kenny and JT Show. And we go way back.
Yeah, we do.
We go way back. Division III basketball players here in Ohio, site of the 2017 NBA Finals Game 3, 4, and maybe 6.
Let's hope so.
But I've known you since I started covering the NBA. In 1995, you were doing radio in Cleveland, man. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be with you. And, yeah, we go back. Mr. Oberlin, Mr. BW. Well, I wasn't Mr. BW. You were Mr. Oberlin.
I don't know about that. I played on the team. I started, but I wasn't a star.
I didn't start. So my basketball career lasted 1 year in college, and I got into radio. So my NBA dreams came to an end quickly.
Well, among media types, because we played a little bit, you're definitely one of the top players among media types.
Back in the day. Which was Peach Baskets and all that stuff when Dr. Naismith created it. But, yeah, it's good to be with you and still cover. How about that we get to cover the game that we played? We weren't good enough to go to the NBA, but we get to cover these great guys, the greatest athletes in the world. And here we are with two of the greatest teams maybe in a long time. That's the argument, right?
Certainly a lot of the greatest players.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Several, maybe 7 Hall of Famers in this series. And we got to get it before we get into the discussion and the debate about Game 4 and moving forward. You gained some national notoriety recently when you asked LeBron a question after their one playoff loss in the Eastern Conference rounds. And a lot of people were, he said you only come around when it's negative and ask questions when
after
they lose.
Losses, right?
And I was like, I know Kenny's at every home game, and this is your first loss, so you had to ask some questions after wins. But what did you think of that whole situation?
You know what? I think it goes back when he first became a star, in the league after his rookie of the year and everything, and they made the playoffs.
Like Game 1, actually.
Yeah, I mean, right at Sacramento, he almost goes triple-double.
Yeah.
So, but in the playoffs, and he's always said, I'm going to make the right basketball play. And we had questioned him about that, passing it up to either a Donyell Marshall or a Damon Jones, you remember, and all that. And DJ hit the winner against one, but some missed and that. And so we would ask him, is that the right basketball play? And he's been consistent, and he's proved us wrong. I agree that the pass to Korver the other night, I thought it was the right basketball play, and he's been consistent. But we've asked him about that. And then, of course, when he left, everybody roasted him in town, but nobody more than Dan Gilbert with that letter. So maybe that sticks there. But I think it goes back to David Blatt's first year when there was a game in November or December, and the Cavaliers lost by like 25, I think, to Atlanta.
Okay.
And David Blatt, we talked to him first. And David, we asked him about the loss. He said, well, I'm embarrassed by this loss. And the fans that showed up, I feel bad for them because this wasn't a good performance. I'm embarrassed by our performance.
Okay.
So then we went into the locker room and we asked LeBron about, the game. And I was like second or third question. I said, LeBron, are you embarrassed? And he kind of just looked at me like,
really?
Embarrassed? Why are you only asking negative questions? I ain't embarrassed.
Oh, so that wasn't the first time he said negative.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I said, well, those aren't my words. Those are your coach's words. He used the words embarrassed. So, I think it might have stemmed back to that.
Wow.
And then he had an off night, and I was just trying to find out why. Because he said a couple of times in the press conference, I played poorly, I didn't have a good game. Who, what, where, when, why, and how as a reporter? Well, why didn't you have a good game? And that's when he said what he said.
So it was real. I wasn't sure if he was kind of playing around with you. Okay, there's real angst there. Okay.
Yeah. And I've been to all but one playoff game, so I did ask him questions this year after wins, and we played it on my radio show. It's kind of like in court, you have the evidence to present, to back your case.
The good questions you asked him.
The good questions and the after wins and all that. So, but you know what? I covered Albert Bell, man. This is nothing compared to.
I covered a little bit of Albert Bell too, so I know.
Yeah.
Kenny Lofton wasn't a cup of tea either with those Indies. That whole team.
Right.
Eddie Murray was on that team.
Yeah. So and so it's part of the job, And I'm going to continue to ask. I was there. Now I didn't get a chance to ask a question to LeBron last night. Raised my hand, but didn't get called on. So whatever. I'll get over it. It's no big deal.
All right. Wow. Well, let's get to the game.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, look, speaking of LeBron, after their great performance last night, electrifying, in fact, this is what LeBron had to say.
I didn't hear it, but some of the other guys heard it and told me that, that they wanted to you know, they wanted to celebrate on our floor once again, and you know, they wanted to spray champagne in our locker rooms, and you know, I think it came from Draymond, which is okay. That's Dre, anyways.
All right, Kenny, how surprised are you by what happened last night?
I'm not surprised at all. Adversity brings out the best in these Cavaliers for whatever reason. I asked Kyrie last night, I asked Kevin Love, and they tried to answer it for whatever reason. They play best when they're facing adversity, and right now they've had to play basically 4 Game 7s, right? Last night was the first Game 7, right? Game 5 will be the second Game 7. Then if there's a Game 7, then an actual Game 7. So last year they're down 3-1, backs are against the wall. LeBron goes 41-41, and then a triple-double, and they win it. They're down 0-3, and last night they come out and set all kind of records. So when they're up against it, they seem to play their best. David Griffin even sent out an email to the team last year. You remember that?
Yeah.
Saying he believed in them and
got them
for whatever.
Yeah,
right. And so I guess they got them right where they want them, down 3-1. But Kevin Durant's a little different animal.
A little
than what
different
they had
this
last
year. I got to admit, I'm stunned.
Are you really?
Going into that game last night, I was 95% certain Golden State was going to close them out. Now, you're right, and I've said it myself on the air before, that they do thrive under adversity. There's no question. LeBron and the rest of the guys do. But my feeling was that Golden State was so intent on closing them out in Cleveland, sweeping them, going 16-0, that I thought they would be incredibly motivated and not let up. I thought it was going to get ugly in the second half. Cleveland, I also felt like it's got to be hard to be motivated. And I know about the adversity, and last year you came back from 3-1. But when a team's beating you 4 straight times, you go back to the regular season, hammered you in those games, then beat you on your home floor, and to think you're going to beat them 4 straight times, I just felt like I was actually telling people before the game, I felt like the Cavs had to be up by about 20.
Really?
At halftime to get the proper motivation for the second half. If you're up 20, then you're thinking, okay, who knows what can happen.
Right.
But they proved me wrong. I was stunned. So, look, maybe we have a series. I'll say this, though. I'm a little bothered. I think it's bittersweet. Because if I'm a Cavs fan or player, I'm looking at this and saying, the way we played last night, you're not going to shoot that well from 3 every night. I get that. But defensively, the physical play, the feistiness. If I'm a Cavs fan or player, I'm saying, where was this in games 1 through 3?
Yeah.
Because why are we in a 3-1 hole? Maybe we actually could have won this series, and I know there's still hope. We'll get to that.
They're a Kyle Korver 3 away from being 2-2. I mean, think about it. I mean, really, if they make one more basket,
but they did some,
and they learned some things in that loss that maybe helped them yesterday. And Steph doing his little whatever it was he did on the court,
I don't know what that was.
I know it motivated Kyrie, and don't poke the bear. That's all I'll say. They poked him. Klay Thompson poked him last year. Remember, Draymond did more than poke him last year. So don't poke the bear.
But see, I'm saying this. Why does it take? You're playing for the NBA championship. You're LeBron. You're playing for the legacy, the GOAT. Why does it take trash talk from Draymond or Steph squatting on the court to get the extra motivation? You should have been that way in game 1. That's my issue.
LeBron was. I mean, he's averaging.
LeBron was, but the rest of the team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Kyrie, was off a little bit with his shooting. And I give them, you know what Golden State did? They did to Kyrie what the Cavaliers did to Paul George, DeRozan, and Isaiah. They blitzed him. They double-teamed him. And when you got a 7-footer and Durant being that second guy helping Klay, it's not as easy to finish at the rim as it is against those other teams. And he's one of the
best finishers
and now maybe he started to figure it out. Maybe it just took him a little while to figure out how he has to finish with it. But he showed up big last night. LeBron did. They did. Is it too little, too late? We'll find out. I will say this. They win Game 5. Yeah.
We'll get to that. Just come on. Right. Don't be bringing that homerism up.
Come on. Well, let's go. How much of a chance do you give them now? It's 3-1. Golden State is in charge. At least it looks like it, and they're going back to Oakland. So, what chance do you give the Cavaliers?
Going into last night's game, I gave them 0 chance.
Okay.
And I know people in Cleveland still kept the faith, and that's good. Now, 0.5.
Oh,
I'm gonna be honest.
You gained a little respect.
No question. They definitely get a little bit of a chance.
All right.
I thought there was absolutely no way they're coming back from 3-0, and I still basically think that. Okay. But look, after what happened last year, after what we saw last night, you got to give them a shot. But here's the thing. I legitimately think Golden State is a better team.
Right.
Obviously, they were a great team last year. And like you said, they add Kevin Durant.
Isn't that the ultimate sign of respect for LeBron James? We can't beat you. We know we can't beat you. Let's go get a second MVP and add him to the team. To me, that's the ultimate sign of respect for LeBron.
No question. No question. Now, I will say this, because Golden State knew Draymond and Kevin had been talking during the season. Not about, you coming here, but just, they were good friends and they felt maybe there's a chance we could get him. So they understood that. Look, if they had beaten the Cavs last year, they would have went after Kevin Durant. And rightly so, in my view.
Okay.
But no question. I mean, we know now Draymond Green, after the loss, he's sitting in the parking lot and calls Kevin Durant. So he knew they needed something to beat LeBron. And no question, that's a sign of respect for LeBron. But I would love to see a rally, and now we have a series, whether the Cavs win or not.
Right.
I'd love to see them push this to a Game 7, even a Game 6. But I would be still very surprised if they come back to Cleveland for Game 6. But
number one, they got LeBron. Greatest
best player in the world
on the planet. No, Paul Pierce, no disrespect to the truth, but he ain't telling the truth. The truth is LeBron's still the best player on the planet.
I agree.
All right, so you got LeBron. Kyrie, when the spotlight's the brightest, he seems to play his best. They came back from it last year. Now, no Kevin Durant last year, but let's remember this. Everybody on Golden State's roster that's a key player, they lost a 3-1 series last year, right? Kevin Durant to Golden State in the Western Conference Finals.
That's right.
So he didn't close it out there. And then Golden State Golden State, Chris, is 0-4 with closeout games to win a championship against the Cavaliers the last 2 years.
That's a great point.
0-4. So with that, the Cavaliers love adversity. They got momentum. Can they do it in Oakland? Here's my thing. They win Game 5. I'm taking the Cavaliers in 7. I think if Golden State is going to win this series, they got to do it in Game 5.
I think that makes a lot of sense, because you're right. If Golden State doesn't close them out in 5, now you're really feeling good if you're Cleveland, because you come back home for Game 6. Game 7, like you said, you got the best player. And even now, not yet, but if they lose Game 5 mentally for Golden State, I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
That's going to begin to affect you and the doubts. Because I talked to people around the team yesterday before the game, and I'm kind of like, man, congratulations. Whether it happens tonight, it's going to happen.
You think.
And everybody was like, well, we'll see. Like, apprehensive, like, let's not celebrate too soon. And the players will start thinking that way if they don't close them out in 5. So, all right, let's look at this, number 3.
All right.
Does this performance in Game 4 by the Warriors take them out of the conversation of best team ever, even if they win this series in 5, 6, or 7?
If they win it in 5, I think the argument holds more, water. I mean, it's a stronger case. Mm-hmm. They go 67, 73, 67, win 2 out of 3, and they're setting themselves up for a chance next year if they keep Steph, they keep KD, and they go in 4 or 5 straight finals appearances. They have the chance, but having said that, when we were talking about doing this today, I was going back, I was looking at other teams, right?
Yeah.
Magic, Byron Scott, James Worthy, Big Game James, AC, Mr. Iron Man Green, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Cooper, Mr. Defense, Michael Thompson. Yeah, I'll take that Lakers Showtime team and put them up there with the Bulls. But the Warriors would be in that conversation as one of the greatest teams.
Yeah, I think what some people are looking at is you gave up 49 points in the first quarter. You gave up 86 in the first half, both finals records.
Right.
You gave up 24 threes. Some of that is, and the Warriors benefit from this more than anybody, but some of those high numbers, and why we're seeing all these high scores now, is the three-point shot.
Right.
That's what it is. It's not that teams aren't playing defense. They still D up. You know that now. They D up as much as ever. But the three-pointer makes the higher scoring games. But I'll say this. I don't think it takes away from their chance to be one of the best teams ever or in that discussion. You're right. Going forward, let's see if they become a dynasty.
I think they need more of it.
Yeah, to be a dynasty.
Sustain it. Magic And he played in 9 finals.
Exactly.
You know, this is Kevin's second, right? Steph and Clay, this is their third.
Yep.
I mean, LeBron's played in 7 straight.
You can look at single seasons.
Yes, just like the Bears in football, 85
exactly.
Bears.
We look at them as one of the best things. And even the 83 Sixers, who swept Magic and Kareem.
Fofo and Fo.
Exactly. 4-5-4 in reality, but yeah. So I think this team still has a chance to be in that conversation. Even if they win it in 5 or even 6, because Michael Jordan, 96 Bulls, 72 wins, they were up 3-0 on Seattle.
Right.
Very good Seattle team. Lost the next 2. I think the Bulls just let up. I think they could have swept them. Lost the next 2, close them out in 6. So it happens. So I don't think this takes them out of that conversation.
Now, if they lose
the series,
after 3-1 last year and 3-0 this year, then we can just flush that down the toilet.
No question. Now they're looked at as a tease.
Yes,
honestly,
absolutely.
like you give us these great regular seasons,
next year?
You can't close, right?
Yeah.
You can't close. And the big joke, the big meme will be Durant's going to Cleveland,
right?
Of course.
Or something, yeah. Mariano Rivera ain't walking through that door to help you close out if
that's right. That's
All
right.
Kobe Bryant tweeted that it was good to see a chippy game last night, that it was a feisty game. The feistiness, does it make NBA Finals series and games better?
I loved it. Now, look, the refereeing was horrendous.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, horrendous. When LeBron and KD were going at it, just in each other's face, they never should have had them that close. You should have spread them out quickly, okay? So there were other things the refs did to let it get out of control. But that said, I loved it. I loved the chippiness, and it reminded me of Celtics-Lakers in the 80s. Yeah. Kevin McHale on Kurt Rambis, with the clothesline. It wasn't that bad, but just that chip. Bill Laimbeer and Robert Parrish. Sure. They're about to do a documentary they're going to show on ESPN about the Lakers-Celtics. And the previews, they're showing them going at it. The hatred, the dislike.
Clothesline, yeah.
And there's a happy medium between the way it was in the 80s and the way it is now, where they've taken too much emotion and physical play out of it. And I thought last night, I thought they kind of found a good balance. I got to admit, it was more exciting.
I mean, LeBron and KD were face-to-face, man.
As much as I said they should have been parted, I liked it.
Yeah, it was good, right? Now, I don't know if either one mentioned
they weren't going to fight
about their breath, like Subban and Crosby in hockey, right? And they weren't going to drop the gloves. But, it was fun to see. And I think that benefits the Cavaliers.
I totally
that gets
agree.
inside the heads of the Warriors, and they got them out of their game. Draymond's doing all the demonstrative things and everything like that, and Steve Kerr's getting a technical that he didn't get, that he did get, that should have been Draymond.
Exactly. I don't know
all
what
that
the heck
stuff
was
with the
going on with
officiating
that.
and everything. I love it too. I think it's great. Like I said, I think it benefits the Cavaliers. The more that happens, the more physical the game is, benefits Cleveland.
No question, because obviously they're a more physical team.
Yes.
And to your point earlier, they like adversity.
Yes.
They like the going back and forth. Exactly. Golden State shows that they do. Draymond bring it on, but they really don't. They really don't. And I think it can get in their heads, like you said, it benefits the Cavs. And I was sitting there watching the Warriors, and I'm thinking, what is wrong with these dudes? Zaza, hitting Iman Shumpert in the man zone. Draymond on the brink of being ejected. I was like, they just need to lose the game. At this point, you're up 3-0. Who cares? You're still up 3-1. Don't get anybody ejected or suspended for Game 5. That's the problem.
Year, right?
And part of me wonders, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but part of me wonders, okay, when they changed the technical from Draymond to Steve Kerr, or gave it to Steve Kerr initially, we all thought Draymond was out. Part of me wonders, was the NBA thinking we can't have this 2 years in a row? Draymond suspended for Game 5 because everybody will think this thing is rigged. But it was.
Were you surprised Zaza didn't get ejected for his little?
Yeah, he should have been ejected.
Yeah, I thought so too.
He should have been ejected.
Do you think they'll review that and maybe something comes out? Could we get now it's not the same effect because they'll put McGee in.
Yeah, but it could affect. It changes the momentum kind of like it did last year. He's not as good as Draymond. I don't think it'll happen because if you remember last year, Draymond was actually suspended because of the accumulation of technicals.
Okay.
Remember, that was his 7th, so he had. So that's why it was. He did the same thing as Zaza.
He did.
It was the same exact thing. So if he had been suspended for that, Yeah, but still, there's no way if Draymond had been suspended for that versus for the accumulation of T's in the playoffs, I don't think there's any way you can have Zaza play because it was the same exact thing.
Exact same thing. I thought the same thing, and when nothing was called, it was like, really? Just a double tech?
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
They got away with something.
Yeah. So, all right, how much does it help LeBron's legacy? That's been the story for the past several weeks. That he didn't get swept in the finals again, even if they lose.
I don't think it would have hurt his legacy because, I mean, we talked about it. Rookie of the – nobody came into the NBA with more hype, more expectations than LeBron, and nobody has exceeded them more than LeBron James, right? I mentioned Sidney Crosby in the NHL, similar to that, and they're on the verge of winning another championship, right? So they're under scrutiny all the time, right? So LeBron comes in, wins Rookie of the Year. What is it, 11 straight?
Well, first game. Right. I covered that game for the New York Times.
I wasn't on the road.
28 points. 7 assists, 9 rebounds, something. It was ridiculous. And that was a great Sacramento team back then, too.
I know, hard to believe, right? And so you look back on then 11 straight all-NBA first teams, 13 All-Stars, 4 MVPs, 3 Finals MVP, 3 championships, 7 straight Finals, 8 overall, and maybe more in the future. And, he got swept by that San Antonio team, but it was like you and I were playing on that team with LeBron, and he took them to the finals. And the game to get them to the finals in Game 5 at the Palace of Auburn Hills, still one of the greatest games I've ever witnessed in person.
Unbelievable.
25 straight, 29 of 30. Here's a trivia question.
A great defensive team a great team, period, for Detroit, but especially defense.
He scored 29 of their last 30. Who was the only other Cavalier to score a point in that stretch?
I'm going to say Sasha hit a free throw.
Drew Gooden hit a free throw. That's it. 29. Wow. So you go there, and the fact that he came back to Cleveland, and he's taken 2 teams now to championships, 3 different times, right? Once in Cleveland, then in Miami, and now in Cleveland again. So you look at what he's done.
52-year drought.
Exactly. So I don't think, and if this is one of the greatest teams ever, I don't think that would hurt his legacy or would have hurt it. And even if they lose in 5, I don't think he's one of the greatest players of all time, and he still has a chance to win more. Magic was 5-4 in NBA Finals. LeBron right now is 3-4, right? This would get him to 500, or he goes to 3-5. But Magic was 5-4. People don't talk about that much, do they? They just talk about his 5 rings.
Exactly.
So if he can
Bird was 3-2.
Exactly. So if he can get to 4 rings, 5 rings, I don't know if he'll catch the ceiling is the roof. But if he gets to 5 with Kobe and Magic, then he's in that conference. So I don't think it would have hurt his legacy. But if they can come back from 3-1 last year and win it, and then 0-3 this year, right? And you talk about, then there will be no argument about his legacy that it's going to be tarnished in any way, shape, or form from whatever he does forward if they can come back and win this year.
Well, let me ask you this before I get into my point.
Yeah.
If he comes back from this series to win, do you say he's the GOAT?
No, still 2 away. He's saying he's chasing the ghost, right?
So you base it on the rings. Because I don't fully base it on rings.
It's a combination of things.
Yeah, exactly. It's a gumbo.
It is. You got to throw it all in, and everybody has a different, favorite flavor and taste, and that. He's in the conversation. Come on. People are having the conversation. Right. Michael, LeBron. And his career isn't even over yet. So it's Michael. It's Magic to me. It's LeBron. Kareem's got to be in there, right? Mm-hmm. Russell with the 11, although he doesn't get
But here's the interesting thing. When it comes to the GOAT conversation, it's pretty much LeBron and Michael.
For today's
a few people throw in Kareem.
Yeah.
I don't hear much of Magic in there. I know Pat Riley said Magic's the GOAT.
I think Magic deserves to be in that conversation.
Okay, for the GOAT. Okay.
Absolutely.
And that's certainly plausible. I mean, Magic was fantastic. Here's the thing I look at. Would LeBron being swept, and we're going way past the buzzer on this one, would LeBron have been swept hurt his legacy? On the one hand, no. Like you said, still all-time great performer, still arguably Mount Rushmore, still obviously top 10
in these finals.
Exactly.
Nobody's ever done that.
No.
Forget Westbrook and the triple-double for the season because he was a one-man wrecking crew. And
you're not playing this level of competition.
Exactly.
So that's phenomenal. And Magic and Kareem, arguably, in my opinion, definitely 2 of the top 5 players ever. Teammates, they got swept twice. 83 by the 76ers.
Yes, they did.
And 1989 or 89 by the Detroit Pistons in the finals. So they got swept twice. So you couldn't kill LeBron for being swept by what could be an all-time great team. However, when you discuss the all-time greats and you try to rank them, Jordan, Magic, Kareem, Wilt, LeBron, Kobe, whoever, you nitpick. They're all great.
Right.
They're all spectacular. But you look at little nuances, little differences, little achievements, little knocks that lift one over the other.
Separate.
Exactly. That's all you can do because they all were so awesome. And one of the things you would have looked at with LeBron is, okay, he was swept twice. You know, because one thing I look at with Kareem and why I tend to put LeBron above Kareem is that Kareem in 75 and 76, smack dab in the middle of his prime, didn't even make the playoffs.
Right.
2 straight years. You can't even fathom LeBron James not making the playoffs in the middle of his prime or in his prime period. And remember, half of the best players in the world were in the ABA that year when Kareem, those years when Kareem. So that's what I mean, you nitpick. So this would have just been something else for people to say, well, LeBron was swept twice in the finals.
If Michael doesn't take a couple of years off to play baseball and they win 8 straight, then we ain't even having this conversation.
No.
Right?
And I think if the Cavs lose this series, which I still think will happen, the GOAT conversation ends. Now, I still think LeBron is probably second to Jordan, but I don't think there's any way. No, right? That's the thing. That's the thing. Everybody wants to make it like you're either the greatest LeBron or you're like chopped liver.
You're everything else down
exactly.
there. Right.
So, no, it's not bad at all, but I don't think you can move him unless something unrealistic happens, like they win the next 4 or something.
And how about this? He was his idol, and he's trying to be better than it. How many guys had an idol and they have the chance to be better than their idol?
Look, LeBron is the most scrutinized athlete in American sports history.
Yes.
Any sport, not just NBA.
No matter what he does.
Some of it's the new technology.
Right.
But he is more scrutinized than any athlete in history. And the fact that he can continue to excel under all this is incredible.
All right, let's talk about that triple-double thing I mentioned, right? He's averaging in these finals against arguably the greatest team ever in NBA history, a triple-double, okay? We mentioned Paul Pierce. KD's had an outstanding series. KD still hadn't won a championship, all right? If he wins this will be his first. And the argument about who's the best player in the world, you know where I come. KD may be the second or third best. LeBron's still the best in my eyes. What about you after seeing what KD's done in these series? His team's up 3-1 with a chance to close it out. Is he now better than LeBron James in today's NBA?
No, I think that talk needs to stop.
Please, right?
I love the truth, Paul Pierce, but I think he's a little premature on this one. First of all, just watching the games. When you look at what LeBron James is doing, even in Game 3, now there's no question, KD delivered down the stretch, and LeBron didn't. Like you said, we can argue that the Kyle Korver pass was the correct play.
That's why they brought Korver in, right?
Exactly. I agree. And I argued that same thing. You could also, though, but LeBron messed up in a few other ways, if you count that as a mess up. The 3 where Iguodala basically blocks it or steals it from him or whatever. Not stepping up on Durant to force a bigger 3, longer 3-pointer. So in that play, in that game, Durant was better in the stretch. But during the game, you saw LeBron James control the action in ways Kevin Durant doesn't and can't do. LeBron will give you just as many points, if not more, as Durant. And the assist, the passing. He is the point guard. He sets everything up, still gives you 30-something points, rebounds the basketball, has to guard the best player. Kevin Durant is tremendous, and it's going to happen. Whether it's LeBron's 15th year, 16th year, Durant or Kawhi Leonard, somebody will surpass him at some point. But it hasn't happened yet. Here's the thing. Kevin Durant doesn't have nearly the responsibility that LeBron James does. He did in OKC.
Right.
But he couldn't deliver a championship.
Right.
He doesn't now because you got so many other great players. He doesn't have to guard LeBron all the time. You got Andre Iguodala, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green that give him rest from doing that. He doesn't have to control the offense and create the plays and be the playmaker that LeBron does. So he has a lighter load. That's why he's looking so great.
Well, and here's the other, and I looked this up. 3 finals in a row against the Warriors. LeBron's averaging 32.4 points, 12.1 rebounds, 9.4 assists. The last 3 years in the final. He should have won. He should have won the MVP even when they lost 2 years ago.
Debatable.
Come on now. 36 if you round up, 13 and 9.
What did he shoot from the field?
Yeah, now that's where 40%.
Okay.
But
was he even at 40? I think it was a tad.
39. I round up. I give him the benefit of the doubt. If you're going to give Russell Westbrook the MVP for the season, what did he shoot this year?
He shot 42.
Okay.
But
so,
that's a whole thing. This is my thing. Look, LeBron was clearly the best player in that series,
without
2015.
Question.
Okay, no question. And I understand the argument, because some of his people were making this argument to me, which is legit, to recognize how great he was. 20 years from now, so people know this guy was dominant.
Right.
He should have got the MVP.
They were up 2-1 without Kevin Love and Kyrie.
However, I cannot give the MVP award to a guy on the losing team in the final. That's just my thing.
Okay,
and I know Jerry West won it, but that was the first year they ever had the MVP.
Chuck Howley in the Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys, right?
What year was that?
Oh, like 19. I mean, way back.
I just feel like I get you. LeBron was the best player in those finals without question.
Yeah.
But you got to win it to me. And I don't even know if LeBron would have wanted that. You know, I mean, they give you that at the game while the other team's celebrating.
He wanted it right then and there, but for his legacy.
For legacy, no. It would have been another notch. Nice. As we talked, the little nuances, that would have been another one. Finals MVP and the loss. So
triple-double average all 7 games. That'd be something special, wouldn't it?
Look, he is racking up things that. I mean, he's gonna I think there's a legitimate comparison between LeBron and Wilt Chamberlain, at least at this point.
Okay.
In that different, I'm not saying exact, but 2 of the most incredible individual spectacles we've ever seen.
Physicality.
And the way they fill up the stat sheet and break records.
Right.
LeBron is going to own so many records because of his longevity. He's going to be the only player in the top 5 in points, top 10 in assists. He might be the all-time leading scorer, and he doesn't even consider himself a scorer.
Right, and he already is in playoff history.
Yeah, exactly. The only player ever to lead both teams in points, rebounds, steals, assists, blocks in the finals. Like you said, on pace to become the only player ever to average a triple-double in the finals. However, if he doesn't win more championships, you will look at all those awards. You will look at the record book that right now I call the biography of Wilt Chamberlain.
Okay.
We may be calling it the biography of LeBron James.
Right.
But if there's only 3 championships, that's great. Larry Bird only won 3. But you will think he should have won. The championship should be more based on how great he was. That's what I say about Wilt. Only 2 rings with how great he was. That's why I say that might be a comparison.
And here's the thing. Tiger was chasing Jack. He may end up at 14. Jack has 18, right? But being second best isn't a bad thing, right? LeBron let's say he only wins 3. I think he's going to win at least 1, 2 more somewhere along the way, okay? So I think he's going to get to at least 5. And so that puts him with Kobe and Magic and 1 short of Michael, but 6 short of Bill Russell, right? And Michael's 5 short of Bill Russell, and we don't even talk about Bill Russell, you know? But
that's why it's not just I think LeBron is better than Kobe. And I know Kobe has 5 and LeBron has 3, but I think both in their prime, I would take LeBron. So I don't think it's just based on rings. I don't think I've said before, and we'll move on, if LeBron were to win this championship and then next year against this Warriors team, which has all this firepower, then I think I may argue he's the GOAT, even though he doesn't have 6. Right. So it's like you said, it's a stew, it's a gumbo of different things. All right. LeBron's dunk off the glass last night. Where I tweeted as soon as it happened, that might be one of the best plays in NBA Finals history. More spectacular plays, and here it is right there. Where do you think it ranks in terms of all-time spectacular plays in finals history.
You know what? In watching it, and we're seeing it in slow motion, and LeBron surveying to see what he's going to do with it, and Clay kind of deked him and then, moved out of the way. And LeBron, he jumps in the air. What do you teach kids? Don't jump in the air to pass the ball, right? But he's 6'8" and can jump out of the gymnasium, right? So it's like, what do I do? I'll just throw it off the glass like I do in practice. But it's Game 4 of the NBA Finals, and we're down 0-3. No big deal. I'll go get it myself and throw it down. And it's like, did he just do that in the NBA Finals Game 4? Yes, he did. And he dunked on Tristan Thompson, his own teammate. He's like, get out the way.
And Draymond was there.
Yeah, and Draymond too. So it was kind of funny that Tristan was the guy that was in the way along with Draymond. And he just nonchalantly did it like, I've always wanted him to be in a dunk contest. I was at his last dunk contest that he won.
High school?
Yeah, at Cleveland State. Woodland Gymnasium.
Let's get to that after we finish this time, because I want to talk about that, LeBron and dunk contest.
But this, for him, signature moment, it's one of those for him.
For him, certainly. Yeah. What about all time?
To me, the best ever is Dr. J hanging in the air for about 38 seconds and going up and underneath and around Mark Landesberger and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Started on the right side of the lane, finished on the left, kissed it off the glass, kind of like Kyrie does with that spin. And to me, that's still the greatest single play, amazing play in NBA Finals history that I have. 1980, he did it. Yeah. And to this day, I'm still waiting for somebody to do that again. I don't know if it can be done.
No, it's certainly a phenomenal play, iconic play by the doctor. Look, first of all, we're talking about most spectacular, not most impactful, not greatest.
Right.
When we think of that, I think of Ray Allen's shot in Miami 2013 to end up beating the Spurs ultimately. I think of LeBron's block last year in Game 7.
Yeah.
Certainly more impactful,
Byron Russell getting beat by
plays.
Jordan on the
Exactly.
Right?
Jordan's game-winning shot. Right. Those are all better plays. And remember, Jordan stole it from Karl Malone right before that. So, but in terms of spectacular, I'm with you on Dr. J's play. That's certainly one that comes to mind. Michael Jordan in the air goes up with the right against the Lakers, his first finals, and then brings it back to the left hand, lays it up. That's certainly right there. But I'm going to be honest. I think it's this.
You like last night?
I think what happened last night with LeBron was the most spectacular play. To do that in the finals, like you said, I've seen Tracy McGrady and players do it in the All-Star game.
Right.
But to do it in the NBA Finals, and like you said, he's caught in the air, and there were 4 Warriors around. Now, some of them spread out to protect the three-point line, but there were 4 Warriors around there, and just to toss it off the glass. So here it is. Look, that's 4 Warriors there.
Right.
And that's Durant, not Draymond. Okay. So it's over Durant and Tristan. Now, Thompson moves out. But to fake Thompson, get him to move, I'm sorry, that is like, you only supposed to see that on the playground.
Right.
And for him to do it in the NBA Finals, I think that, I know we get caught up. You were probably about 10 years old or 12 when Dr. J did it. I was 10 or something like that. So as a kid, it was awesome. But this play was ridiculous.
And to do it to keep the crowd in the game. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they went crazy, and they should have. If you were there to witness that, and there's that term we haven't used in a while, right? Witness that in person, you'll never forget it.
No. I actually don't think it got the
pub it should have.
Yeah. I don't think not many people are talking about that like they talked about Jordan's layup. I watched Jordan's layup, and we'll see that. Now, some people might say LeBron wasn't as contested on this.
Right.
Jordan, there were 2 Lakers there, but they didn't contest him like bodies and all that.
Switch hands.
Not really. He did switch because he's Michael Jordan and he can.
Yeah, right.
But you're right, he didn't have to. Dr. J's Mark Landsberg, that's a little notch because it was Mark Landsberg.
Yeah.
But Kareem was there to contest. So I can't take anything away from it, but I just think this was
in Cavaliers history, without question. For LeBron in the finals, without question, he had a big dunk in that game where he went for 48 against the Pistons late in the game
but
to put
that's
them
the
up.
Playoffs.
Yeah, that's the play. It's not the finals. So he's had some before, but in the finals to this point, this is probably his most spectacular play.
Now let's get to, you brought up the dunk contest because a lot of people obviously wanted LeBron James in the dunk contest. I'm going to share what my view has been, and then I want to hear from you because you actually saw him in one. I never felt that, and I could be wrong, but I never felt that LeBron would have been a great dunk contest participant.
Okay.
Because you look at the greatest ones, Michael Jordan, Vince Carter, they're more graceful. Kobe Bryant, they're more graceful in part because they have different body types. They're not as big as LeBron is. And the way they move is just more graceful, so their stuff looks better. I think LeBron would have to do, and he's bigger. When you're bigger, it doesn't look as good as when you're a little bit smaller. I think for LeBron to be great in the dunk contest, he would have to do the type of stuff Dwight Howard did when he won it. Power dunks, but also just incredible feats. Like Dwight was so creative. He threw it off the side of the backboard, caught it, and done. We've never seen that.
LeBron
He jumped from.
That,
well, would he have been creative to think about that stuff?
I think he would have.
Okay, all right, let me finish.
Yeah.
Dwight jumps from out of bounds, bounces it off the back of the backboard. Like he did stuff that was just so creative.
Right.
And even though he's a bigger type, muscular guy, it looked good and he was spectacular. So I've never been upset that LeBron wasn't in the dunk contest because I don't think he would have been like a Vince Carter, Michael Jordan, or anybody like that. Now you saw him. What do you think?
It was the McDonald's All-American game weekend. And it was here in Cleveland because LeBron was the player of the year. And it was at Woodling Gymnasium.
Okay.
And I think Powerade was the sponsor or whatever it was, right? And I think Shannon Brown was in it, if memory serves me correct, right?
He was in the NBA one too.
Right. Yeah. So, and he won the dunk contest there. And it was a half-court gymnasium that they had it set up with. And that's the last time he's been in a dunk contest.
What was he doing? What kind of stuff was he doing?
He did some pretty, spectacular dunks for a high school kid, right? Back then at the time. Now you go on YouTube now and you see dunks from maybe what he did compared to what you see now on YouTube with high school kids that are, just blowing that away.
Yeah,
but at the time, he did some spectacular dunks. And I think, Michael, part of his legacy, is that jump man jump, the logo,
the jump,
right?
From the foul line. Yeah, he was dancing in the air.
Now, I don't know if LeBron can dunk from the foul line, but could you have imagined a big guy like that doing the mic? Everybody tried to do Brent Barry did it, right?
Yeah.
And
that's my point. See, when Brent Barry did it, it was great.
Yeah.
But it didn't look as good as when Michael Jordan did it because the body movements.
What if LeBron does it and his foot's actually behind the free throw line, not on the free throw line, and with his length and his power to be able to finish like that?
It would have looked really good with a big guy doing it. We've never seen a huge player do that. And I don't know if he can do it from the foul line.
I think he's athletic enough that, back in the day, he could have done that without question.
He could have won some dunk contests because it depends on the year.
Right.
But I'm just saying, first of all, this notion that the best player in the world has to be in the dunk contest. Magic wasn't in the, a dunker like that. Bird wasn't. Now, LeBron is one of the best game dunkers that we've ever seen.
Without question.
But I just don't personally think he would have been a spectacular dunk contest. Like I said, depending on the year, maybe he would have won. But I don't think we would have looked at it like, look at what Dwight Howard did. Look at what Zach LaVine or Aaron Gordon did, or even, or not even, but Vince Carter, Michael Jordan, Dominique, guys like that.
Yeah, his dunk over Tim Duncan that's up there.
Almost a Statue of Liberty dunk over Tim Duncan.
He had that poster.
The dunk against Boston.
That too, yeah.
The Garnett and all those guys. Yeah, so he was undoubtedly one of the greatest, probably one of the top 10 game dunkers.
Without question.
But yeah, it's fun to talk about. But look, Kenny, this was great. We're done. I know we could go for another hour, man. This has been great. Love your takes. You did well. Everybody who's come in that seat has lost to me in the debate. And you still continued that trend.
Oh, no,
but you put up a good fight.
We'll debate that.
You put up a good fight. But look, for In the Zone, Chris Broussard and my man, Kenny Rhoda, who does ask some positive questions, too.
Thank you.
Don't believe the hype.
After wins.
But thanks a lot for tuning in. See you.